Hey, my name is Cedric, and in this video, I'm going to show you a strategy that you can use with your Facebook ads to increase your ROI for your e-com store. Now, if that's actually the kind of content that you like consuming on YouTube, consider subscribing because we release videos about Facebook ads every week. So what is this special strategy? Well, it's actually just to add an email opt-in on your website, just like this one that you're seeing. Now, let me actually explain why I recommend that you set this up. I'm also going to show you how to set it up and then how to track it and send that data back to Facebook so that you can actually optimize from them. And I'm also going to show you how to enable advanced matching, which is going to help Facebook match those lead events that they're going to be receiving with an actual Facebook profile. And then after that, I'll give you some more use case and other reasons why you should be implementing this. So why I recommend that you set something up like this on your e-com store? Well, if you're like most companies and using Facebook ads as a demand generation channel, most likely the users that are clicking on the ad they don't really know who you are, especially not the first time. And that's totally fine, but expecting them to purchase right away is not really realistic. Most users, what they will do is they will take a look at the ad, click it, take a look at your website, see what you have to offer, even sometimes, do some research, read your reviews, and then when they're ready, then they make the purchase, right? So purchasing on that first session is not really something that happens all the time for an e-com store because you're asking for money, right? For what we see for lead generation companies where what you're asking is just for the contact information, asking the users to convert on that first session is really realistic because they don't really need to think or spend money. They just need to give out their information. So in this scenario, when we're showing a little message like that saying that they can actually get 10 to 15% off, because they're clicking on the ad and going to the website, they're obviously interested in what we're offering. So what we can do is we can capture their email address, and if they're interested, they don't really have any problems to give that email address, especially within the first session, because most users now these days, they know that if ever they exit this and come back to the website, let's say the next day, they might actually not see this message. So a lot of companies have configured their little like 10% off or 15% off only like once every 7 days, or sometimes it's only once in like every 30 days. And some companies, if ever you've seen this and you've closed it, you're actually not gonna see it again. And the majority of your users don't know that you can just, inspect the page and go to your application and then delete your cookies and your cache storage, right? So your average person don't know how to do that. So when they're seeing this message, again, if they're interested in the product, what they'll do is they'll usually submit their email address or phone number. So why as a company this is really valuable? Well, you have the obvious. So when they submit the email, yes, you can enroll the user inside a sequence. So if ever they don't interact with your ads, or they don't see them, or they don't see your social media posts, at least you have another touch point now, and it's email. So it's a great way to keep the conversation going with that user. You can sometimes even enroll them in like a monthly newsletters, and you can really do all sorts of things once you have the email or the phone number, right? That's also something that you could do. But what I really like as a marketer and someone that is really data driven, I know that the time frame from when someone clicks the ad, right, or Facebook ad, and when they become a lead is really, really short. So most tracking tools, including Ads Manager or Google Analytics, will do a really good job at tracking the user and associating that with a marketing campaign, compared to when we look at a purchase where, yes, the user came from Facebook ad, we had a session from Facebook ad, but then actually converted 4 months later, and then now Google Analytics is having a hard time associating that purchase to something like Facebook ad. But when we have the email, well, they can purchase in 8 months from now. We're still going to be able to see that they came from Facebook ad and then decided to purchase 8 months ago. So for me, I see this as not just like a way to keep the conversation going with the user, but also as a great tracking method. Because like I said, from them clicking the ad to becoming the lead, it's honestly probably going to happen in that first session. And then from there, we have their email and we have their phone number. And when they're purchasing, they're probably going to be using that same email. So it's a great way to get some visibility on our data and where are actually all of those purchases coming, instead of just when you're looking at report, you're seeing that they're coming more from either organic or direct. Now let me show you how to set this up. I'm just gonna remove my face. Perfect. And there's actually a lot of different ways to set this up, right? Because there's a lot of different tools that offer what we're looking to achieve today. But in order to be able to visualize the data afterward, right, to see exactly, okay, well, this user was created from this UTM, and then be able to create lists and segments, there's a special tool that I like to use. And this tool works really well for Shopify stores. So as you can see, I'm actually using a demo Shopify store here. So this tool works really great for that. And when we're going to get into the following step, which is tracking, honestly, it works really well with Google Tag Manager, and we can also pull the information that the user inputs in the form, like the email and phone number, and send that to Facebook. And that's the tool that I'm going to be using in this video. You can try doing that with a different tool, but I'm also going to be providing you a template that you can use for Google Tag Manager that might not work with a different tool. So just keep all those different things in mind. But the tool that we're going to be using is called Klaviyo. So if you've done any sort of like email marketing in the past year, probably familiar with this platform, or you're probably even using it. If you are not using Klaviyo, there's actually a link in the description of this video, and if you click it, it's going to bring you to the website. Now this link might be an affiliate link, and what it's going to do, honestly, if you click that link and become a Klaviyo customer, it basically is just going to give us a small percentage. You won't be paying more, but it's just one way that you can help support the channel, and honestly, it doesn't cost you anything extra. So click that link, go ahead and create an account for Klaviyo if you don't have one already, and there's actually a free plan that you can use and get started with that. You can test out the tool before you actually start spending something. Now you're just going to want to go to sign up forms, and you're going to want to create a new sign up form. So I actually already have one here. So when you create that button, it's going to basically ask you to pick a design, like ask you, do you want to just collect emails, or do you want to also collect phone numbers? So, you can play with all that. And since right now you're setting this up and you're testing it out, I recommend that you actually go here and then you want to select this. So show immediately on page load, uncheck that if it's checked, and then just set this to 0 days. So basically what this means is it's always going to show up whenever we reload the page. And for testing purposes, that's what we want. So if you're following the video, maybe don't deploy this on your homepage just yet, since it's probably going to appear every session. So you can maybe try to deploy that on a specific page that you don't really get a lot of traffic to, just so that it's not really annoying. So this is how I'm currently setting this up so that I can test it. And once you're ready, you can actually just go ahead and click publish changes. So now let me show you how we can actually track this, my favorite subject. So let's go to Google Tag Manager, and you're actually gonna need to install this on your website if you don't have it already. If I just open this up, those are the steps to install GTM on your website. If you need additional instruction, I've actually made a video on how to set up Google Tag Manager on a Shopify store. That link is gonna be in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and watch that video, but you're gonna need that. The reason you need Google Tag Manager is because the native Shopify and Facebook integration is really great for tracking e-com standard events. So that is view content, add to cart, purchase, right? So all that kind of stuff. But right now what we're doing is we're using a plugin called Klaviyo, or an app called Klaviyo, and we want to do some additional things with our Shopify store, which is capturing emails, and it's not a native Shopify feature. So we need to use a tool like Google Tag Manager to create the tracking. Hopefully this makes sense. But now once we have Google Tag Manager installed on your website, we actually need to create what we call a tag, add some variables, and also add a trigger so that we can properly send the information to Facebook. You don't need to worry about that because I've actually made a template that you can download, and it's going to take care of all that for you. So that link is going to be in the description of this video, or potentially somewhere on the screen. So go ahead and download the template. If you don't want to download the template, you can continue watching and try to recreate it yourself. But honestly, I think you're going to save a lot of time if you just use the template. But if you go to admin and you've decided to download the template, click on import container. You're going to want to choose the file that you've downloaded. Now this needs to be a .json file. It cannot be a .txt or a .html. It won't work. So update the file, then you're going to click on existing default workspace. And I always like to merge it, and I like to rename conflict tags, triggers, and variables. Now once you've done that, you're going to see like a button that allows you to continue or save and import the container. And once you've done that, if I go to tags, let me just show you what you just added to your Google Tag Manager. So I'm going to type lead just to find it quickly. And this is actually a tag responsible to send a lead event to your Facebook pixel. So let me just open this up and let me show you what you need to change. So you got to actually change the pixel ID here. You need to use your own Facebook pixel ID, right? So don't use 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do that, it's not going to work. So make sure you use your pixel ID. And if I scroll down here, we're sending a lead event. And I've actually enabled advanced matching. So if I open this up, we have a parameter name called email, and we have a value. And what this is actually a variable that's gonna grab the email address of the user that he put when he submitted the form, and it's gonna send that to Facebook. When you do something like that, instead of just sending like a regular like event to Facebook, well, Facebook can now use the email and try to match that with an email that they have in their database. So it's really great for the quality match, and it's just gonna help Facebook to match your events with an actual Facebook profile. And let me actually show you how this variable works. So I'm just gonna duplicate the tab, open up a new Google Tag Manager, and if I go to variables and I go to email, so this is a custom JavaScript that's responsible to pull whatever data that the user put in the email input box, right? So the reason I want to show you this is so that you kind of understand how it works. So you can create one, let's say for phone number or potentially for first name and last name. And if you give me just 1 minute, I'm actually gonna show you how you can figure out how to change this custom JavaScript variable to pull whatever information that you want in the input boxes. So let's actually go back to this tag. I just wanna continue showing you how this works and basically what you've added. So if you click on more settings, you're gonna see that we've added an event ID. So basically what this does is it creates a unique ID for this event. Not really something that you're gonna be using if you're just doing browser tracking, but let's say you wanted to also do browser and server tracking for a lead event, which I've, again, made another video on how to do both browser and server tracking. The link is gonna be in the description of this video, but you're gonna need an event ID for all your events. So this is just why I've put it there. And now here we have our trigger. So now if you probably notice in my form here, it says continue. So that is my trigger whenever someone clicks the continue button. But for you, if you change that to, I don't know, sign up or get offer, obviously you're gonna wanna change the trigger. So it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go ahead here and say click text equals something else. If you want, you can also use the click ID. For example, let's say that on your website, there's potentially an option to translate the page in a different language. Well, that maybe it won't actually say continue. It's gonna say, well, the same word, but in a different language, which that means that the click text won't equal continue, if that makes sense. So maybe you wanna use the click ID or another variable. This is just how I've set this up. Feel free to change it. And yeah, so that's our tag, all the variables that you get when you download the template, and also the trigger. Now what we're gonna wanna do is actually test it. So I'm gonna hit preview. And I'm just putting my demo Shopify store here. Perfect. So I'm seeing this, and I just wanna show you this real quick. So if I inspect the element, we can actually see that this actually has a name, and the name is email. Let's say that you actually wanted to also create a custom JavaScript for phone number. What you would need to do is just look at what is the name. So is it phone and then together capital N and number, or is it, you know, phone then separator then number? So just take a look and see what the name is, and this might actually be different for your Klaviyo. So for me it's email, but for you it might actually be different. So if ever you're setting this up and you're using the same form as me, and you see that the variable is not working, go ahead and take a look at the names. Maybe for you it's actually different. So just one thing to keep in mind. Now I'm just gonna put in my my email here, and I'm gonna hit continue. So perfect. So if I look at the last click, so that's actually the click that sent the lead event, and we can see that there's a tag that fired, right? It fired because there was a button here that said continue, and I clicked it, and that was the trigger for our tag, if you remember correctly, right? So that was the lead trigger click. And if we open this up here, tag fired, I like to select the value so we can have an idea and see what was passed. Well, we actually able to send an advanced matching, and we can see that we sent my email. So this is kind of like how it works. And let's say again you wanted to send the phone number, all you would have to do is go to your email custom JavaScript variable. And then you can actually change this to if it's if it's just phone number together, then change that to phone number, and same thing with this one here, and it should work. From here, what I actually recommend that you do is go inside Ads Manager and create a lead campaign. So you're going to use a conversion objective, but the event that you want to optimize for is actually the lead. And what that's going to do is you're actually going to be able to see lots of different leads coming in for a really cheap price compared to just keeping a regular conversion campaign optimizing for purchases, and then here and there you're receiving leads. Now, I am not saying that you should pause or turn off your conversion campaign optimizing for purchases. This is more of like an addition. So let's say you have a specific budget per month for Facebook ads, and you have some extra budget to either test an ad set, a different audience, or a creative. I'm offering this more as like, hey, here's something else that you can test and add on to your ad account structure. But if you are really limited with your budget and only have the option to have a purchase campaign or a lead campaign, definitely I recommend that you choose the purchase campaign, because this is what's going to generate more purchases. But with the lead campaign, you're going to see a much cheaper cost per lead. And I remember for client, when I started, I was getting like a cost per lead for about $15 to $20. And after doing this for about 2 to 3 months with that client and changing creatives and audiences, we were actually able to get the price down all the way to like $2 to $3. Now he actually sells a product worth $150, so it's actually $150 just to purchase the product, so it's a little bit more expensive. So keep an eye on the cost per lead and also what is the value of the product. If you're selling a $20 product, then obviously the cost per lead at $20 is really not something that you can afford. But keep all these different things in mind, and what you can do is you can actually go inside Klaviyo. So let me actually go back, and I want to go back to my homepage. And this is why I really love Klaviyo compared to like other tools, is you can actually go and click on lists and segments, and you can create a segment. Now I'm going to want to create something that is dynamic, so I'm going to click on that. And I can say, let's say property about someone, and I could go ahead and find like the UTM value. So basically I haven't added those yet because I'm not really receiving any sort of data. But after using this for a bit, you're gonna be able to type the UTM source here equals to, let's say, Facebook _ ad. That's usually what I like to use for my UTM source. So I always name my UTM source for Facebook ads, Facebook _ ad. So that would be one condition. So people that came from Facebook ad, and people that, let's say, when they've actually made a purchase. So when they placed an order at least once, and then I could create that list. And what I would want to do is, let's say in, I don't know, 4 months from now, I can come back. So you got to give it a decent amount of time. So 3 to 4 months, I think, is realistic. If you're trying to get really data and try to make decision after only 1 week, I think it's a little bit too short, because again, you have sequences and people take sometimes a long time to purchase. So realistically, I think 3 months is a really great time to go back and look inside that list and see what is the average value for leads. So let's say that, I don't know, you get 1,000 leads and only 20% of them purchase. Calculate what is the average order value, then you can kind of get an idea of like what is the average lead value. So when you go inside Ads Manager, or when you're looking at your data inside Universal Analytics, you know that you can't really spend more than a specific number to be able to acquire a lead. And that's great because you can get some like control and some visibility on how much you should actually be spending, when right now it's a little bit all over the place with iOS 14. So again, this is really one of the main reason why I love this sort of like strategy, is because you can get access to that kind of information because you have the user's email address, and because like Klaviyo acts somewhat as like a CRM. You can kind of see that they came from Facebook ad, then became a lead, and then did they purchase? Yes or no, right? If they purchase, they're most likely using the same email. So this is why Klaviyo is able to track it. So guys, that is it for this video. Don't actually forget to go back here and submit your change, right? Because you added a new tag, the variables and the triggers. If you don't submit it, then it won't track the lead. So don't forget to do that. But like I said, that is it for this video. Hopefully you can implement this strategy successfully and see some better results. If you do, let me know in the comment section. And if you have also any other questions, let me know in the comment section. But that is it. Bye for now.